Hi everyone, RoBbRoK here. Canada's first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation is taking place this Thursday, September 30th, and communities across the country are preparing to mark the day with virtual and in-person events. Not all provinces and territories are officially observing the federal statutory holiday announced in June, but many schools, businesses, and different levels of government are recognizing it. This is the first, a special day to acknowledge the existence of survivors and everything that they had to endure. In 2015, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada presented 94 calls to action. Item 80 reads as follows. We call upon the federal government, in collaboration with Aboriginal peoples, to establish a statutory holiday, a national day for truth and reconciliation to honor survivors, their families, and communities, and ensure that public commemoration of the history and legacy of residential schools remains a vital component of the reconciliation process. 6 years later, Indigenous people of Canada finally have that day. Unfortunately, it comes on the heels of the discovery of mass graves at multiple residential school sites across Canada in the last year. The body count is well over 3,000 and climbing. What does this mean to me? It means that I'm sorry that I was so blind. It means that I need more education on residential schools, Indigenous history, and culture. It means that I need to honor and remember the victims and survivors of the Canadian residential school system. We as Canadians must recognize that there are still survivors among us. These are people who were in these schools up until 1996, children that were taken from their families in an attempt to assimilate them. These children suffered the worst atrocities at the hands of government and church officials while the rest of Canada turned a blind eye. September 30th should be marked with the same reverence as we give Remembrance Day. Survivors need an indication that people will take this day seriously and will take time to reflect, to reconsider what we think that we know. We need to make use of available resources to ensure that we unlearn what we think we know. The narrative has been that the residential school system was a well-intentioned program meant to give Indigenous people the opportunity to learn and help prepare them for life outside of non-Indigenous society. We need to unlearn this myth. It is a dismissive and damaging narrative. This was an attempt to assimilate, humiliate Indigenous people into submission. It really was a campaign of genocide. Catholic bishops of Canada have apologized recently, but this has been long overdue. They are planning a papal visit with a delegation of Indigenous survivors in December with the hopes of getting a papal visit to Canada. Indigenous people don't need more performative apologies. They need adequate resource sharing with the rest of Canada, and they need access to their ancestral lands. To bring about effective change, we need to understand the issues that Indigenous people are facing today. One of the best resources to read is the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada Calls to Action. Take the time to read all 94 calls to action. Reconciliation is a long and hard process of making things right. It starts with education, understanding the issues, learning about the culture and history. Kids, pay attention in class when your teacher is teaching you about Canada's treatment of Indigenous people. Parents who weren't taught these lessons in school, learn alongside your children when they bring these lessons home. Remember and honor residential school survivors. When you see discrimination, racism, and mistreatment, say something. Please take the time to engage in cultural activities throughout Canada tomorrow. Some of the activities include a primetime special in honor of residential school survivors set to air on APTN and CBC, Radio-Canada. The Nswakomock Native Friendship Centre on Elm Street in Sudbury, Ontario is having a sacred fire ceremony at 9 a.m. and a ceremony in the afternoon from 1:30 to 2:30. Also, Science North is engaging in activities from 3 to 8 p.m. at their site. General admission is $12 and it's free for members. So please, Canada, get out there, learn, take in some culture, and we've got a long way ahead of us to truly reconcile. Stay safe.